Okay, hello everybody and welcome back to another match in the TOUHOU Project Mania Cup 4th edition. We've already seen a lot of great matches so far. In fact, 2 out of the 4 of them have been tiebreakers. This could potentially be a third because this is a very close match coming in at you. It is Mystia's Izakaya patrons at C25 versus reimu shrimp at C24, so basically as close as it gets. And getting into the protect, ban, and pick, we already see that Team Red protecting Rice 4, and also with the ban on LN1, so it seems like they are going to be headed for a Rice-centric plan, which very much makes sense for Team Red. I think they do have some pretty good early game accuracy. Next up is shreimu for their protect and ban, and they had protected LN4, so it's going to be one of those Rice and LN battles. Really just depends on what they want to ban, and I think there's a couple of good choices around here, and it seems like they want to go with Rice 1. You may not want to hear this, and we won't at all because it is banned. And so that is the speed map gone. Very simple 1/6 streams. I think clocking in at around 290 BPM. So with the streams banned off, I think Team Red might be looking towards Rice 4 very belovedly down the line as it kind of falls in place with their plan. Still within that stream categorization, just in a dumpy manner. And Rice 1 still banned. It is their pick, and they're taking quite a bit of time to think about what they want to choose. That LN4 protect, they could always launch it off. I think LN4 is a very physically hard, coordinationally hard map, and so if I had to guess, maybe something like LN3 could be a good first pick for Team Blue, just because there's so much coordination involved, especially in the latter half where you have all of those mini jacks. So really running down that timer. Seems like Team Blue had that motion in plan with a decently fast protect and ban, but not really sure what to go for. It seems they'll settle on Hybrid 1, and always a good pick. It seems like Bambu's going for LNs, going for hybrids, and what better way to start off with something to kind of split the difference between the two teams. A little rice, a little noodle for everyone. Alright, and Team Red gonna have Wander Yonder and Moss. Nope. Instead, Verdon coming in for Team Red. Sorry about that. So Wander Yonder, Verdon for Team Red, and Astle Fanboy and Moths for Team Blue. And pretty surprising to see Moths here. I usually know them as kind of like a Rice, or I guess like earlier stage act player. I wonder if they still are within the boundaries where they feel good about most of the maps on this pool. Guess we'll find out with this one. And I mean, both of these lineups looking very solid. I think what's really going to matter is who or which team is more malleable in the end, just because you're expecting such a large array of maps with both Rice, LN, and hybrids all eventually going to be picked. Who can really flex into those spots for each team is going to come up big. And for now, I doubted Moths at first, but it seems like I was mistaken, as they have some very clean accuracy. Big core jack section coming up, and then into the LN transition. doing just fine. Assel Fanboy trying to catch up to Wonder Yonder. Both players around that same accuracy. It's really just that bottom player difference with Verdon losing out to Moss by quite a bit. This is not a long map by any stretch of the imagination. Only 1 minute and 52 seconds. I believe one of the shortest maps in the pool even. And Verdon actually takes a miss at the quad stagger on the LNs. It's very tricky to go through, so I totally understand that, but it's not gonna help their team at all. They're already losing without the miss, and with it, it just turned desperate. Funky little transition, and Verdon yet again on that stagger. It's the fourth and third column that came in with the LNs where they missed. Seems like they're having trouble when it comes to getting in and out of right sections and going into LN sections. Those noodles really just messing him up. And now that lead seems almost insurmountable as we get into this last section. Assel Fanboy and Moss look extremely comfortable. Assel Fanboy still matching Wonder Yonder, even beating them by just a little bit. And shreimu actually beating Team Red by a lot of it, as Moss picks up only one great, Assel Fanboy 3 for them. Wonder Yonder with 2, and Verdon, unfortunately, 2 misses on their side really led to shreimu getting that first point. So Team Blue really flexing their capabilities on long notes and also kind of rice, because in some of those rice sections, I think Moss and Assel Fanboy as a team looked a slightly bit stronger. So I would be worried if I were Team Red heading into the Jack pick. Thankfully, Team Red up to bat, and they're gonna have to see what they want to play. Like I said, they should probably avoid the Jack pick for now because Moss is looking extremely clean. So that's a Kimi TOUHOU, the Rice 3 for anyone watching that doesn't know the map pool. I would very much stay away from Rice 3. I would probably stick towards the slightly more techier or mixed picks. So Rice 4, Rice 5, Rice 6, I think are all good choices for Team Red. And the one I haven't talked about was New World in the Rice section, and that one's just pure jump stream, so I really do feel like that might be a toss-up if performances go how it's been going and there are no swap outs. And Squiddy taking my advice, going with Rice 5 made in China. This one very much so a mixed rice pick, heavily focusing on 1/8 streams and some faster mini jacks. So bit of a jack speed test and some pretty, although they are 1/8 streams at 300 BPM, they're very left to right or right to left, very staircasey. So mostly jack speed is tested on this map. Seems like a couple of swaps might be in order for both Team Red and Team Blue now that we're finally getting into just pure Rice as a showdown. And yes, instead of Verdon, we got Snow Fangirl. Actually, sorry. Assel Fanboy, Snow Fangirl. I forgot they are the duo. And then for Team Red, I'm not sure if they're gonna stick with Verdon. I think it's entirely possible. They seem usually pretty fine on a rice picks. Could be a play. However, they are taking quite a bit of time to sort it out. Mystia's Izakaya patrons getting by through the lower bracket finals 4-1 versus Team Saucies. which made them qualify in, and Reimu had already basically qualified through the, I would guess, upper bracket final on their group stage. It's just that they had won their lower bracket final quite closely, 4-3, against a team name that I cannot pronounce, unfortunately. So Verdun staying in seems like they are the best choice, and I believe this is a Blue Potion and YuEast collab. This one very, very hectic. There's a lot of variability in the density, and I think that might mess up a lot of players because, like we saw in that last map, transitions are really everything, and Wander Yonder actually failing at an easier left-right section with the jacks. So early lead for shreimu. It's just that it was such an early drop. It can definitely be salvaged with pure accuracy. Some of these meteor streams finally coming in. And right after the Jack 2, you really do have to watch out. It seems like everyone's doing just fine. The bottom players of Verdun and Mots matching essentially each other, and Water Yonder trying to get back up in the accuracy department. Lightly being out by Snow Fangirl, and I think even without the miss, they would have been losing by just a little bit. And more extended stream sections coming in. But, I mean, they just look so clean on these streams. Yes, they're quite fast, but to them, it's just light work. And jump scare mini jacks coming through. Snow Fangirl and Moss not caught out by that. I think their lead has decreased by just the slightest amount, but unfortunately for Wander Yonder, that miss really did end up being the difference maker at the moment. There's one more section here, and it is pretty scathing, but it just doesn't seem like Mots or Snow Fangirl are letting up. A lot of flams, a lot of inside drills compared to just regular staircases, and the Jack transition not even catching them out either. Last section coming in and not caught out by it. Very good team score from Team Blue to bite back at Team Red. 994, a clean 994 too, with a almost 996 from Mots is insane. So Snow Fangirl doing well to match up essentially with Verdun, and for Wander Yonder, that miss honestly did not matter, just looking at the ratios. Team Red losing out to shreimu by just the tiniest bit, but it was such a good performance from shreimu anyways. And so Team Blue actually coming off with a very, very quick pick. They're gonna go for their protect in LN4. And it's such a good time in my eyes to launch it. Both Wander Yonder and Verdun have missed once each in the past maps. They are looking extremely shaky. This is kind of the time where you pull out these maps where they're essentially, it's very choky. This map, Unknown X, I think, I want to say, was all the way back, originally made. This set was in like 2021, and then I think repurposed or something like that. Or I might be thinking of Alan 3, but regardless, the main thing is just look at that star rating at 6.3. Yeah, it's a bit overinflated, but I mean, it is very much so LN focused, and I mean, if you aren't good at LN and you can't really hang with mid LN, I think this is really the stepping stone to future rounds, because there's just so many quad staggers. It's such a dense map, everything hitting you at all times, and I mean, you see it there. Astral Fanboy really having trouble with those staggers. Wander Yonder and Snow Fangirl as well falling down, so only Verdun is left with that FC. picking up just the smallest of leads, and all things considered, Wander Yonder had the worst drop. Yes, it's the only drop, but they took quite a hit to their accuracy because of it. And so I think as this match progresses, they're gonna struggle a bit, and you already see the score playing seesaw, and with Verdun missing, no more FCs on the board. Shreimu gonna pick up that 6,000 point lead immediately. Is quite a dirty drop from Verdun as well, and I don't really blame them. Again, as I said, this map is extremely hard. There's a lot of coordination, there's a lot of quad staggers on the releases, even some rice notes thrown in to make you think about smaller inverse patterns or mini jacks, and get a little break here to assess the situation. But it looks a bit dire for Team Red. Just looking at that accuracy, Snow Fangirl is matching Verdun, but Asshole Fanboy is kind of blowing Wander Yonder out of the water. So what really needs to happen is another chain miss from Asshole Fanboy or Snow Fangirl. It's just from anyone really, and it has to be pretty big at this point, considering that lead has ballooned up to 10,000, so almost doubling since we last checked back on it. And with the map ending, pretty much a rerun of that coordination specialty from the more dense part of the map, and gonna end with some trills, a couple of Dorito patterns, and no, the one to fall is Verdun, and shreimu retains their sweep onto Team Red. Very clean on their protect. 3-0. Team Red's really got some thinking to do. They don't have a lot of choices left in the rice pool. They've got rice 2, they've got rice 3. They have their protect rice 4 if they wanted to send that one out. And I really think that it might have to be the time to send it out. This is potentially their last pick. And I mean, they kind of have to get something going. There's a reason why Team Blue had banned Rice 1. They're not too comfortable when it comes to tit for tat on speedier streams. So I think changing it up with a vocal dump compared to their first pick might be a very good play. And so they are going to go for their protect. We're going to have to see how this goes down, because if Team Red loses this, they're not out of it just yet, but what will happen is that they will have to take multiple breakpoints from shreimu, and seeing what maps are left in the bottom half of the pool, it's very much a tall order. Alright, so first sighting of Poff and Cole, previous 4DM player for, I believe, Hong Kong, if I'm not mistaken. And then we get the duo of Mots and Astle Fanboy for this one. So very, very exciting lineup that we haven't seen. This is a new 2v2 for both teams, and we're gonna have to see how they play with each other. Wander Yonder keeping up that V2 SS for 61 notes, quite impressive. And as we finally get into this dumpier section, we see that it is currently a back and forth when it comes to accuracy. Moss really keeping it up. Astle Fanboy slightly behind both Pop and Cole and Wander Yonder, but we're really just starting out in the dump section. Okay, a bit of a slower section here, slows down, and we can kind of assess that Pop and Cole has made a huge error and just absolute catastrophe from them. I think that was something like a chain miss, and I mean, it was. They were saying they were nervous before this map had started, and you can really tell as they were doing so good up until those misses. And I mean, there is a lot of map left. It's a very long map at 3 minutes. It's just that with consistency players like Moss and Assel Fanboy, it's so hard to tell if this is salvageable for Team Red. And really, they were keeping it super close up until that point, but now the game is entirely changed. Sechel came in and no one got caught out by it. More dump to close it off, and I think it's basically insurmountable at this point. Moss and Assel Fanboy have been doing super well. Assel Fanboy shooting for a 993, whereas Moss is, I think, above a 996 at this point. So I mean, basically at these ratios, you feel so comfortable with the map that it's highly unlikely to miss unless there's some hardware issue or you just take your hands off the keyboard. And slow down, basically no map left. Seems like shreimu is aiming for a sweep. People might have to get their brooms ready as they go up 4-0, and not only that, they have their own point. And funnily enough, Moss and Assel Fanboy going for almost a V1SS, just 2 100s, or I guess 100 each on both sides. With Pop and Cole, as you can see there, unfortunately, very unfortunately, took a lot of damage in that section, in that one section where they missed. But looking at the ratios, the 300s, Moss and Assel Fanboy combined had actually less 300s than Pop and Cole in total. So I don't think it would have mattered as the map progressed if Pop and Cole hadn't missed. But I mean, they put up their best effort on that map, and that was kind of their silver bullet for Team Blue. That was the ace in the hole, and it just backfired onto them. And shreimu going to try to end it off on Hybrid 2. So they had a pretty clean win on Hybrid 1. Want to clean up the Hybrid pool and go for the other pick. And we're going to have to see how this goes. I think we're going to see the same Hybrid players from that first pick in the match. So I believe, I want to say Verdun is coming in. But we'll just have to see. And yes, Verdun does come in. And for shreimu, let's see who we have in for this pick. Alright, and we get Assel Fanboy in for shreimu. So this one, pretty speedy at times, especially with those piano sections. Very jazzy. This is probably one of my personal favorite songs in the pool, and definitely a treat to watch these players play on it. Not to see how they do, because again, this is the match point for shreimu. Team Red fighting for their tournament life in the round of 16 losers bracket, and I think they do have a chance. I mean, all things considered, besides that one miss from Verdun in Hybrid 1, it was pretty close overall. So I really do think that they could pull this off. Even with all odds stacked against them, Wander Yonder and Verdun march forward, trying to at least get 1 point against shreimu, prevent the sweep. And it's gonna be on Hybrid 2. And here we go into the meat of the map. A lot of mini jacks, and then into those LN sections. It's very density when it comes to those larger LN sections, and it seems like so far shreimu is doing quite a bit better than Mystia's Izakaya patrons. That's really headed by the fact that Moths has a 99.9 stellar accuracy as always, with Aslo Fanboy doing their best to float above Wander Yonder in accuracy. So kind of a cross map situation going on with both players from Team Blue beating their counterparts by a slight amount, not anything crazy. One miss could definitely change it all, but it does need to happen within this next half of the map. And here's that techier piano section I was talking about. Seems like everyone got along with it just fine. It's just that Water Yonder and Verdun slipped in accuracy by quite a bit in that past section, and I didn't even notice, but Verdun had actually taken a miss earlier in the map. It must have been, I don't even know when that was, but I mean, Verdun once again falling to their knees on the hybrid map. I think it was a clean 1x miss, and Wander Yonder going to take one as well at the end of the map, and that's going to be deuces for Team Red. The shreimu completes the sweep, and I mean, Mots and Aslo Fanboy putting up such a good performance with extremely clean scores, very much so expected from mid-seeds like them, and they definitely showed why they are the higher seed and why they should deserve to go on to the next round of the TOUHOU Project Mania Cup tournament. So congratulations to Mots and Aslo Fanboy and all of Team shreimu for winning against Mystia's Izakaya patrons. And of course, thank you to Team Red overall just for joining the tournament, playing in it, and giving it their all, and also giving us some good matches, especially earlier on in the tournament. So I think they're going to play LN1 for fun. I believe we're just going to show that. But all things considered, I mean, shreimu just absolute dominance through and throughout. Yeah, Wander Yonder, Verdun, and Team Red as a whole had some misses, Pophicle too, but really for basically all of those maps, just based on ratio, those misses did not matter. shreimu just had the stranglehold on accuracy the entire time, so they're gonna go on to the quarterfinals in the losers bracket, and you can check in on who they're going to face later on. They're going to face the winner of Fish versus Fumo. So one of those two teams is going to face shreimu, and if I were one of them, I'd be very scared. I think their match is going on a bit later. Yeah, their match is going to be Sunday at 15 UTC, so not a while, or gonna be a while until we see who these guys are facing for the next round. But seems like that LN1 showcase is not gonna happen. Things are going to clean up over here. And if we can go ahead into the... Oh no, we are gonna get, strangely enough, just Moths against Squiddy and Verdun. So, let's see a little showcase of the release/coordination pick of the map pool. This map is, very comfy in the musical sense, but I feel it's so hectic in the Osu playing the game sense, where those shorter long notes that you see are 1/6, so they're already very unorthodox compared to your usual release C maps. And when you pair it with kind of some of these inverse sections, they are super, super tough. And you can see Squiddy struggling on this release. 98.34 has that clean FC, but just in terms of accuracy, they're beaten out by both Verdon and Moss. And it seems like as Squiddy takes that break, Verdon actually edges out Moss when it comes to release year coordination. So very, very interesting to see Verdon beat Moss on a map like this. Albeit it is by just the slightest of margins. Anything could happen at this point. Some wackier LN releases here, and of course the evergreen 1/6 LNs that I talk about, always headed by another longer anchor afterwards. So really just those kinds of patterns where you have a 1/6 short anchor into a very long hold afterwards is always very tough. And after Verdon took that miss, decided not to play it anymore. So Mott's currently the only visible FC. I think there are other players in the lobby. Yeah, so many quicker switches on this map that you really do have to be present for. Squiddy taking yet another miss. Seems like they're struggling a lot when it comes to, I guess, quicker coordination. And Moths dipped down in accuracy by quite a bit. So, you know, not the 99.8s and 9s that we're used to seeing from them. Finally brought back down to earth when we see funkier patterns, and you know, release and coordination is not always for everyone. It's very much so a trained skill set, but somehow still beating out I assume a lot of other players in this tournament. I think a 99.59 is very respectable for a score, and more importantly, not missing on a map like this is probably the best thing you can do. So with that little showcase over and done with, Moths just kind of flexing their LN prowess. Yet again, that guy can really do it all. That will be the end of the match. Once again, congratulations to shreimu for winning against Team Mystia's Izakaya patrons. And going into the schedule, we can go ahead and check, because I do think we have a couple more matches later on. Not in the sense of... Actually, this was technically the last match of today, of Saturday in UTC time, but in Sunday UTC time, starting at 5 UTC, so 6 hours from now, that's going to be our next match. Girlfriend ASMR versus Chiwi 10. That should be a very, very interesting match, because again, this is seed 3 going against a bit of a lower seed. And then from then on, starting at 10 UTC all the way to 15 UTC, a lot of other good matches going on. But we hope you enjoyed this one. We'll catch you guys at around 6 hours from now. And thanks for watching.